Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Codeman Movies. As I said yesterday, I am going to have another video up this week because of how many weeks I have missed lately. I was on vacation in Maine, which is mostly the movies I'm going to be talking about, or movies I watched while I was in Maine, or on the car ride to and from Maine. So that's really what we're talking about today. So yeah, we're just continuing from yesterday. This is still continuing with movies that I've watched in the last week really now. So yeah, enjoy the second episode of this week's podcast episode here. I usually only do one a week, and we're gonna do two a week this week because I've been missing out. First things first, grab your alcoholic beverage. Today I'm just going kind of easy. I'm gonna have a black cherry White Claw. Don't want anything too huge right now. It's only about, what time is it? It's 1:30 now where I'm at. So I just worked out though. That's why I'm wearing this weird ass shirt. Don't usually wear this, but you know what? I got done with working out. I'm motivated. Let's do this. Refreshing. Not the best thing in the world, but you know what? It's needed, and we're gonna have it, and we're gonna enjoy talking about it. So yeah, guys, let's get going. Oh, first of all, this is from Chicago. This was the Skybox. Well, it's Willis Tower now. Sears Tower is what it was, so. You're probably going to be seeing this more because it's just the first picture on my computer. I've been thinking about doing some canvases of some of the places I visit, just as souvenirs, kind of. So, pictures of Chicago. But let's start with the first movie here, actually, guys. This is a weird one to kind of start out with, I guess, but it is The Princess Bride. I'm looking at her sunglasses right now. I don't know if I see paparazzi or if I actually see the people behind the scenes and they didn't do a very good job of taking out people in her sunglasses. But anyways, guys, we're starting with Princess Diaries. I was on vacation in Maine. My brother's wife, I guess you'd call her my sister-in-law, she wanted to watch this movie, so we watched it. As we were watching this movie, we were talking about it, and I said, I'm pretty sure this is Anne Hathaway's first ever movie. And they went, no way. And we looked it up, and yes, this is her very first movie. She did, I think, like a season of a show that never got picked up. But otherwise, this was her first thing she really did. And she's fantastic in it. From the very start of her acting career, she was a fantastic actress, in my opinion. I know a lot of people out there do not like Anne Hathaway. Whatever, that's fine. I think she's a good actress. That's all I have to say about that. Yeah, you know, and I remember watching this as a kid. This movie came out in, 2001. Wow, over 20 years ago. 21 years ago. That's insane. I remember watching this as a kid and thinking there was some good funny parts. And did I think it was the most fantastic movie in the world? No, but I thought it was fine. This is directed by Gary Marshall, the guy who did Pretty Woman and Runaway Bride, guys. You know, towards the end of his, I think he just died recently, from the last few years. Towards the end of his career, his movies kind of just went slowly downhill. I think he did those Mother's Day movie and the New Year's Eve movie and all that kind of stuff. So by the end, he wasn't doing good movies necessarily, but this is still one of his movies that I say is pretty good. Is it the greatest movie in the world? No. But like I said, there's some funny parts. And is it stupid? Is the premise kind of stupid? Yes. But again, it's a kid's movie. It's enjoyable. There's some decent messages in this movie. And this movie, you would it's definitely leered more towards women. But I think even guys can watch this and enjoy certain aspects of it. I think there's definitely other aspects of the movie that they're not necessarily going to care about with the royalty and the queen and the princess and stuff. But what you can enjoy is just the weird little funny moments that are in this movie. There is some heart in this movie. The relationship between her and her mom, her and her grandma. It's all something that it can be relatable to everyone, I think. And even there's some girlier moments that are kind of funny. For example, the moment where she's getting her makeover. There's some funny moments in there, and you don't have to be a girl to think that that's funny. As a guy, I was laughing. There was grown men that I was watching this with that were laughing at it. So this is not just a girl's movie. This is a movie that guys can enjoy too. Some really great moments of humor too and heart in this movie, like I said. Performances are good enough for what this movie is. Are they Oscar-winning performances? No, but it doesn't need to be Oscar-winning. It's just a light, fluffy, little, good, down-to-earth movie. Again, like I said, some of the premise is a little ridiculous. The fact that this person's just asked to be a princess all of a sudden, that's a little weird. But you know what? Again, like I said, this movie's not meant to be, serious and absolutely true to what it is. It's just meant to be this light movie, and that's exactly what it is. I've never read the books for this. I never plan to read the books for this, but, it's fine. Is it anything spectacular? No. The sequel, on the other hand, I remember not liking the sequel. My sister-in-law wanted to watch the sequel the next night, and I got maybe 5-10 minutes into it. I went, I'm done. And I left and went to go read my book. Came back with, 15, 20 minutes left, and it was just terrible the last 10, 15 minutes anyway. So that one I really do not like. This one's fine, though. I think it's enjoyable for what it is. I'm going to give it like a 6 out of 10. It's nothing spectacular. This is not an amazing movie. This is not Gary Marshall's best movie. It's not his worst movie. It's just middle of the road. It's good. It's fine. It's enjoyable. So 6 out of 10 for me on Princess Diaries. Whew. This has been sitting for like 2 years. I'm guessing it doesn't really expire. But boy, does it have some kick. Whatever. Anyways, guys, next up is Pearl. Now, Pearl is the origin story of Pearl, who is in the movie X. She's the old lady in X, who was played by Mia Goth, who also plays a young lady in the movie, the survivor of the movie. I believe her name is Maxine or something like that. Maxie, I can't remember. Yeah, Maxine, because, yeah. Anyways, and then at the end of X, there was a teaser for Pearl, her origin story, coming later in September of this year. So it's really cool that this movie came out in, what was it? I don't know. I want to say early summer. And we now have its sequel already here. And it's this little horror movie franchise already within a year's time. Both great movies, because this is a great movie as well. X is more kind of like throwback to classic slasher films, it really feels like. It's a much gorier movie than this movie. A little bit more disturbing, this movie. This movie is much more of a character study. I really loved X. I enjoyed it quite a bit, so I was really excited for this movie. Mia Goth, once again, is absolutely incredible. She's just playing one role this time, and she does such a great job in this role. Like I said, this movie's more of kind of a character study. Kind of about a woman who is just frustrated with life and wants her life to be so much more, but life keeps punching her and bringing her down, and she finally just cracks and explodes. Excuse me. It reminded me a lot of Joker, honestly, in the fact that you just have someone who's trying so hard to live life and they just keep knocking down. And I honestly don't like Joker that much. I thought it was fine. It was nothing spectacular in my book. I think it was too hand-fisted and too political with it. This movie does such a great job of it, though. You cheer for Pearl towards the beginning, really. She is just someone who, again, is just she's doing the best she can in life. She has a mother that's overprotective. She has a father who's very sick, and she just wants to live her own life, and she can't. She feels obligated to be with her family, and she wants more than that, and she's just not getting it. Her husband's also fighting in the war, so he's not in the picture, and it's really kind of just sad, and you feel for Pearl. So yeah, this movie, I struggle to call this movie a horror movie. There's definitely horror elements in this movie, but it's not quite a horror movie in my book. It's just, like I said, it's character study. It's more of a drama that so happens to end with her, yes, killing people. But even like the first person that is killed in this movie, it's kind of more of an accident. She doesn't really do it on purpose necessarily. She doesn't go out of her way to help this person necessarily either, but she doesn't do it on purpose necessarily. So, you know, she's not exactly a psychopath immediately in the movie, which is very interesting. You just see her slowly go down, and that is, it was so interesting watching this movie. When the horror does come to play, it comes to play. There's some brutal kills in this movie, some brutal moments, some beautiful tension-filled moments. So the horror is there. It's just not necessarily there like X was, I would say. This movie definitely has connections to like something like Carrie, Wizard of Oz, oddly enough, and then, like I said, Joker. Joker had explained. Wizard of Oz, just kind of how the movie is filmed. This movie very much looks like an old, early Hollywood film. Just the way it looks, the way the camera angles, everything. It's a throwback to old Hollywood, really. And then Carrie, just someone slowly going into nothingness. They're kind of an abnormal person, and then they're put off the deep end. And I love that about this movie. I love how many connections to X there were. You see things slowly being set up for X in the future. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, actually. But there's some connections between X and Pearl, and you see it in this movie, and it's awesome. And again, I love that we just have a movie universe with 2 movies already in 1 year. I really do. And I love the classic Hollywood themes, and just this idea that anyone can go crazy. Anyone can be driven to go mad. And I just love that. I love movies like that, which is why I was really disappointed in Joker, because I really wanted to like that movie. At the end of the day, though, guys, I really enjoyed this movie. So many great moments to it. If I had any negatives, I would say maybe there's a couple moments that are slightly ridiculous, and just feel a little more fatty than they need to be. Not a very big gripe. I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10. I almost want to give this movie a 9.5. It's nearly a perfect movie in my book. I love this movie. I really did. I love the character of Pearl and just her journey she goes on. And I felt for her quite a bit throughout this entire movie, and felt for her. Like, maybe I'm going to become a sadistic serial killer. I don't know. But anyways, guys, that is Pearl for you. I want to make sure this is still going because, you know, technology. Looks like it is still going. I'm going to have another drink before we talk about our next movie. Oh, and I also want to mention, guys, every time I go on vacation, I try to go to a movie theater in that place that I go to. In Bangor, Maine, when I was staying, I went to a theater. It's called the Rocket Movie Theater. And when I got there, the parking lot was completely empty, and I honestly thought it was closed forever kind of thing. Then we called, and nope, they're open. So I went to that theater. It's an absolutely wonderful theater. I really enjoyed it. They had a huge arcade there, a nice full menu. I had mini corn dogs. There was like 20 mini corn dogs that I got. They were absolutely delicious. The theater itself was actually very beautiful. They didn't have reclining seats necessarily, but they had the big leather seats that you could still rock back and forth on. If I had any negatives with this theater, was that you could hear other movies. They need to maybe put up more of those sound barrier things to block out the sound from the other screenings. It was a minor thing, really. It wasn't terrible, but I could tell Beast was playing next door and DC League of Pets was playing the other side. So other than that, it's a great theater, guys. So if you ever go to Bangor, Maine, please check out that movie theater. It really is a nice theater, and it deserves a little more love than what it's getting, I would say. When did I go see this? It was a Thursday night. I mean, it should have been busier than that. I was in the theater with one other person for this movie. That's not necessarily a surprise to me because this is a little bit of a weirder movie, but it should have been busier. I also went and took a peek at some of the other theaters while there was trailers playing. They're all really nice, decent size. Nothing too huge, nothing too small, and the screens were a nice size. Everything about this theater was really great. So if you're ever in Bangor, Maine, please check out the Rocket Theater. It's what it was, I believe. And quite an enjoyable experience going to this theater. So I just always want to point that out when I go see movies on vacation, because I just think we should be going to, and ticket prices were cheap. Thursday night showing, I think it was $8. I think Tuesdays is $3 movie tickets. So this small independent theater, cheap, really nice theater, great food, affordable food too. I think my 20 mini corn dogs were like $5. Nothing too terrible. So yeah, guys, just want to point that out. Go visit Bangor, Maine, and check out Rocket Theater. Next up, guys, Wild Hogs. I remember this movie coming out. When was it? 2007, 2008. And I remember this was a movie that my mother and father actually allowed me to watch, allowed us to watch, allowed the kids to watch. A couple moments they didn't like us watching, but they let us watch this one. So that's why I have fond memories of this one. And this is another movie we also watched in Maine as well. It had been a while, so we decided to check it out. We just wanted a funny movie, one that we didn't have to necessarily really pay attention to. We had hiked at Arcadia all day, so we were exhausted. Just needed something light to watch, something kind of short. That was this movie. So yeah, that's kind of my first memories of it. Seeing as a teenager, remembering it was funny, remembering that it was really stupid though. Very unrealistic and dumb. But again, it was funny. And as a teenager at the time, it was a movie I was allowed to watch that I probably wouldn't normally be allowed to watch. So, yeah, and that's the first thing I have to say about this movie is it knows it's dumb. Everyone in this movie realizes it's kind of dumb. They're saying dumb, stupid things, but, they're okay with it because they know it's dumb. And that's a positive for me. It's a comedy that knows it's stupid. There are some really great funny scenes in this movie too. A lot of them, yes, are slapstick humor, are poop humor. John Travolta acting crazy, Martin Lawrence acting crazy, slapping the bowl on a butt. It's weird, dumb, silly things, but they are funny, and I will give it that. I also love motorcycles. I love the idea of traveling, just hitting the road on a motorcycle and checking out the world. Not having a cell phone, that would be great. If I could, I'm not going to get rid of my cell phone the way they do in this movie, but I would, keep my cell phone off and just keep it in my bag. And then if needed, then take it. So I love that idea. I love the premise of just hanging out with your bros, hanging out on the road. I love that idea. And again, I would love to take a road trip like this. Characters are really dumb. William H. Macy's character is a complete idiot. Tim Allen's character, he's a dentist, really. I wouldn't let that guy flipping near my mouth. John Travolta's character, he's John Travolta crazy. Yeah. And then Martin Lawrence is a nobody. And I also realized as I was watching this movie towards the beginning that Grown Ups kind of, well, maybe it did steal. I'm sure there's other movies that have this, but Grown Ups also use this where the dad is a stay-at-home dad and the mom's the one working and the kids prefer mom and they listen to mom and they don't give a flying and flippity-foo-fly about dad. He's a wimp. And then by the end of the movie, dad's a hero. That also happens in Grown Ups. I just kind of realized that. This movie actually came first, so I think Grown Ups stole it from this maybe. I don't know. Whatever. Not a big deal. I'm just kind of pointing it out, something I noticed. What else? There are also, while there is some dumb, stupid, over-the-top, ridiculous moments, there's some good themes in here too. With friendship, standing up for yourself, being true to yourself, even something as simple as taking time for yourself and letting go of the world and not worrying, not stressing. Life is short, just living life. Those are great little moments. I realize there's some really homophobic moments in this movie as well, particularly with the guy from Scrubs. He's in it for like 3 scenes, and then he's just never in the movie again. Very homophobic, and there's some other just homophobic moments that don't hold up necessarily. And then there's some other weird moments that just don't need to be in the movie. Like they're at a carnival, and for some reason it cuts back to this cowboy singing songs that are sexual. And it is funny, but it feels like an SNL skit, and it just doesn't need to be in the movie. So that's a little weird and out there. But at the end of the day, guys, this movie's fine. Ray Liotta gives a great performance as this biker guy, and Marissa Tomei's in this movie as a love interest to William H. Macy. Is it the most amazing movie ever? No. I mean, but it does exactly what that tagline says. 4 guys from the suburbs hit the road, and the road hits back. I mean, yeah, it's simple, it's dumb, it's slapsticky, but it is funny. And I enjoyed myself watching this, and I'm glad I rewatched this. Is it the greatest movie ever? Nope, but enjoyable. 6 out of 10 for me. It's fun. There's some good funny moments. Maybe get high or have a couple of these. I don't know. It's more enjoyable, probably. That's Wild Hogs for you. Next up, guys, also during Maine, I decided to start a new TV show because I did finish up 2.5 Men. And I decided to start this one. I'm a big Daniel Radcliffe fan. I had heard about this show, and I'd also heard about the fact that each season is a different thing. It has nothing to do with the last one, just the same actors are in it. So I wanted to check it out. This first season of Miracle Workers, Steve Buscemi's character is God. We are in heaven, takes place in heaven, and Daniel Radcliffe's character is someone that deals with prayers, and he deals with simple prayers, and he makes these prayers come true or stops certain things from happening, stuff like that. And it's kind of cool to see God being a wash-up, a loser, and then also seeing just someone like sorting out prayers and sending up the difficult ones up to God for him to take care of, and then taking care of the easy ones. I found that premise really, really awesome. Huge fan of Daniel Radcliffe. I like Steve Buscemi quite a bit. And I really do love that each season is its own thing. It gives so much room for exploring different time periods and different ideas and being unique and different. And I just love this premise of being in heaven, and heaven isn't exactly what we would think it would be. I absolutely love that. And honestly, I wish this season was a little bit longer. It seems the end kind of gets tied up a little too fast. I think there was like 7 episodes in this first season. I think I'm watching the second season now. I think there's, 10 or something like that. I think this first season was kind of like, let's do a couple episodes, see if people like it. If no one likes it, great, we stop. If not, well, we'll keep going. And they kind of just ended it. And so then they decided, to just do a completely different thing. And that's cool. I think it kind of worked out, but I do wish this first season was a little bit longer. All the acting in this was good. For what this show is, it's a dumb little fun TV show. It's got some comedy elements, it's got some heart. It's great. And again, I'd like to see more of this first season. I wish it was a little bit more extended, a couple more episodes before that last episode. Daniel and Steve do absolutely fantastic in this movie. Their characters are so wonderful. Again, I love seeing a washed up God. That's so cool. I love the idea that heaven is essentially like a business that's failing, kind of. And there's so many different parts, and it's ridiculous and inventive, and it's creative. And I just really enjoyed this first season. Is this the most amazing show ever? No. It's dumb, and the humor's weird. People I was vacationing with, they were watching Piece of It, and they're like, what the hell is this? I'm like, it's a weird show. And they're like, yup, and they left. It wasn't for them. This show's definitely not for everyone, but I enjoy it. Give it like a 7 out of 10. It's not my favorite show ever, by no means, but it is quite an enjoyable show, I would say. Especially this first season. I really did enjoy it. Wish I could have saw more of it, honestly. Yeah. Next up, guys, Jojo Rabbit. This is a movie that I watched in the car on the way back. It was a 24-hour drive from Maine to Wisconsin. 24 hours. So I decided to download a movie that I've watched 100 times that I didn't necessarily really need to watch, but I know it all enough to not need to pay attention and still enjoy it, still love it. Jojo Rabbit's one of those movies. This was my 3rd favorite movie of 2019, and I just think it's such a beautiful, heartfelt, funny, incredible movie. Like I said, it's funny, but it's heartfelt, and it also is about a boy in Hitler Youth hanging out with his best friend Hitler, who's his imaginary best friend Hitler. It's delightful. This movie's absolutely just delightful. I've watched this movie so many times since it came out in 2019. I think I saw this movie like 5 or 6 times in theaters, and then I got it on 4K, and I probably watched it a good 30 more times since, probably. I've watched this movie so many times. I absolutely love it. I never get sick of it. The jokes still get me every time. So many little bits. Even something as simple as Scarlett Johansson's character going, I am not hungry. I'm just going to sit here and chew on my grapes. And she takes a sip of wine. Like, I just love that moment. It's so stupid, it's so little, but I love that little line of, I'm going to chew on my grapes. She's drinking her wine. I love that. I just love that. I would call this one of those movies, it's a comfort movie. It's a comfort movie. I can watch this on a sick day, and it just makes me feel a little bit better. And it's also a movie that got nominated for a whole bunch of awards. I believe it won for Best Adapted Screenplay for Taika Waititi, I believe. Such a great movie. It really is. I am not someone that watches movies on his phone. I hate that. I would never watch anything on my phone. But this was a movie I was okay with watching on my phone because, again, I've seen it a bajillion times. I was basically just there for the sound of the movie and just listening to the movie and enjoying that aspect of the movie. While there is definitely moments in this movie where you want to watch it on the biggest screen possible, I didn't need to this time around, and I didn't feel quite as bad watching it on my phone. Don't watch movies on your phone, though. I don't like that. But if you're in an instance where you're in a minivan driving 24 hours, then it's okay. There's moments. It's okay at times, but don't do it all the time. That made no sense, but okay. So yeah, it's a little over the top. It's ridiculous. It's satire, but it's got so much heart and sadness. So many sad moments. I won't spoil too much just in case you haven't seen this movie, but there's some just sad moments where I start tearing up. It's so sad at times. And then there's just really great humors. I crack up so many different times watching this movie. And it's really interesting to see an event so awful as the Holocaust seen through the eyes of a 10-year-old boy in the Hitler Youth Camp. I love that Taika made the movie about this 10-year-old boy and just kind of made stupid things about it. Like, there really was stories Hitler was putting out where Jews had horns on their head. And they bring that up in this movie and they make it ridiculous. Like, yeah, Jews have horns on their head. That's how you can tell. And it's stupid and it's ridiculous. But it's true. And I love that he made that hilarious and just a satire. And this movie's not for everyone. Oh my gosh, is this movie for me? I give this movie a 9 out of 10. I absolutely love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies in the last decade, at least. This movie may even make my top 10 of all time. I love Jojo Rabbit so much. Absolutely love this movie. I love the characters. I love Elsa. I love Jojo. I love his friend. I can't remember his name. Scarlett Johansson's character is absolutely great. Even someone as little as Sam Rockwood and Rebel Wilson are so fantastic in this movie. Just a absolutely fantastic movie. I love this movie. I can't say enough great things about this movie. Next up, guys, movie I know I have talked about recently, actually. Within the last, I don't know, I want to say few months here, I think I watched this movie. Another movie, though, that we were in the car for 24 hours, and we just wanted something to laugh at. We didn't necessarily need to watch this movie. We just needed to laugh at it. This is definitely one of those movies directed by Paul Feig. Has Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy in it. It's just a hilarious movie. Am I even in frame? I hope I'm in frame right now. Oh, I'm in frame. I might have went out of frame a couple times. I hope I didn't go out of frame too much. But yeah, guys, The Heat. Absolutely wonderful movie. Super hilarious. The chemistry between Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy is off the walls fantastic. They absolutely just clicked. I want them to do another movie together. Sandra Bullock sounds like she's retiring from acting for a little bit. Take care of her family, which I respect that, but I hope you come back and do some more movies with Melissa McCarthy because it's just great. Another movie that, this again, like I said, this is another movie I was watching in the car, and I almost just didn't even need to watch it. I just needed to hear it, and I knew enough. I could see it enough in my brain to know what was happening and know what was going on and still just absolutely laugh. Person that was driving was not watching this movie. The screen was back here, but they were still laughing at just what was being said because it's so funny. Another movie that I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've seen this movie. I've seen this movie so many different times. Another movie just to watch on a sick day where you're not feeling the best, or you're sad, or you're down. This movie will make you a little bit happier. So I absolutely love it. It's ridiculous. Yes, Melissa McCarthy's family is just over the top Boston people, but I love them. It's great. Great heart, some great drama, great cop drama. They're solving a mystery throughout this entire movie. It's just some really great humor. Has anybody seen the captain's balls? They're like little teeny tiny balls, like mouse-sized balls, only smaller. Love that scene. Absolutely love that scene. Some really great action sequences. You know, they're nothing huge action sequences, but there's some explosions. You guys must be married now. Why is that? Because gave me a ring, mother. I love that. Great scene. And like I said, there's some dumb, unrealistic moments, but it never crosses the line too much for me. It's just an awesome kind of cop drama comedy movie, and I love it. It's so good. I love this movie so much. 8 out of 10 for me. Like I said, it does toe the line with ridiculous at times, and then it's just, you know, there's some just interesting things, and it's just a great movie, guys. If you need a laugh, watch The Heat. It's such a good movie. JoJo and The Heat, 2 movies to watch if you just need a laugh. All right, what we got next? All right, guys. So, as I said, I went to Bangor, Maine. Bangor, Maine is the hometown, I believe. I don't know if Stephen King grew up there or if he just lived there for a period of time in his life, but he was living there. I actually visited Stephen King's house, just checked it out. He doesn't really live there much anymore, it doesn't sound like, but it is his house in Bangor, Maine. And Bangor, Maine is the inspiration for Derry, Maine. As I was just touring Bangor, I was just like, this looks like the town from It. And I went, did It film here? And I had to look it up, and no, it was filmed in Ontario, Canada, but it is the inspiration for the hometown of Stephen King, Derry. That's why I was like, oh my gosh, it looks like it. So yeah, it was really cool to see that. So I had to come home and watch It because, you know, I just went there. So you have to go and watch movies of places that you've been to, you know, that kind of thing. Like I was talking about Chicago and why I've been watching Chicago movies lately. So yeah, I had to watch this movie because it was inspired by this town that I went to. First of all, what I have to say is I love the chemistry between the kids. All the child actors in this movie are actually really great. It's not something that happens a lot, but all the child performances are really great. Skarsgård as Pennywise is absolutely terrifying. He doesn't have a huge part in this movie, but with everything that he does have, it's fantastic, and he's terrifying. You know, Beverly as a character, I really hate how she kind of becomes a damsel in distress at the end. She gets kidnapped, put up in the sky or whatever. I don't like that necessarily. Beverly feels stronger than that, but it is what it is. And I definitely hate how she's pulled back down and kisses Ben and she's just awake. It felt very Disney. I remember in the theater going, because I do remember seeing this in the theater. I went with my family and they didn't think it was scary at all. And I was like, oh my God, I nearly pooped my pants at certain points. The projector scene, especially when it pops out of the projector. Ugh, good golly. And this movie had a budget, I checked last night, I believe it was $35 million. And some of the effects are a little iffy. I think they did the best they could with the budget that they had. And they did fairly well. Most of the stuff doesn't look terrible. And I really do enjoy this movie. The CGI is passable is what I will say. I think this is a great horror movie. Yes, it happens to be a coming-of-age kind of movie with some heart and humor, but it also has some really great thrills. That projector scene in particular, the scene in the library with that librarian is in the background just watching Ben. So creepy and so wonderful. I think this movie is absolutely incredible. I love this movie, which is funny because I read the book and absolutely hated the book, It. I know everyone praises the book, It. It's way too long, too much fluff in it. Absolutely hate It, the book. But I love, love, love It, the movie. It's such a good movie. I'll give this movie like an 8 out of 10. There's just some moments that drive me a little bonkers with the Disney kiss, the damsel in distressness, and there's some CGI moments that aren't the greatest, but for the most part, this movie really is great. So that's It, Chapter 1. And then, of course, I watched It, Chapter 2, because you can't watch the first one without watching the second one, right? So I did them right in a row. Watched It, Chapter 1, and then It, Chapter 2. And I remember seeing this movie in 2019 with a friend, and the initial reviews for this movie weren't good, and they're still not as good as the first one. People didn't seem to like this movie quite as much as the first. I don't think this movie is quite as good as the first, but it is still a really great movie. I love this movie. It is so good. It is a 2-hour, 45-minute movie that does not feel like a 2-hour, 45-minute movie. It feels like a 2-hour movie. I absolutely love the pacing of this movie. I love who they cast as adults. I think they did such a perfect job. And I believe like Finn Wolfhard cast Bill Hader. He said that's my dream one. The gal that plays Beverly wanted Jessica Chastain. Perfect. Guy who plays Bill said James McAvoy. So I loved the kids casting they did. Some really great casting that they did. Again, I think the CGI in this movie is even worse than the last one. I think this movie had a budget of $80 million. And a lot of that was probably to get Bill Hader and James McAvoy and Jessica Chastain into the movie. That right there is probably half your budget. So really, this probably had the same budget as the first, if we're not counting the money that was spent paying these A-lister actors to be in the movie. So yeah, the special effects are not as good in this one, but again, they're passable for what they are. Oops, I'm on the wrong one. It is not in this movie quite as much. Maybe in 15 minutes of this 2-hour, 45-minute movie. That is disappointing because what they instead do is show these weird creatures that have not so good a CGI, and it bugs me. There's a scene with Paul Bunyan in this movie. His CGI is not so great, but it's funny because in Bangor, Maine, there is a Paul Bunyan statue, and you just see the inspiration that Stephen King took from that to make it that, and I enjoyed that. I really had a blast in Bangor just going, oh my gosh, this is Derry. So cool. I just absolutely love that. So yeah, the ending battle also is a little disappointing in my book. They just kind of say you're a dumb clown, dumb clown, dumb clown, 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 you suck. And he shrinks down, they take out his heart, and they kill him. It just seemed a little uneventful, I guess. And bullying, I don't know. Bullying is the key to winning the battle. That seems weird. And once again, this movie does have heart, though. It has a lot of heart, a lot of humor, while still having some good thrills in this movie. And I love that they combined all those things fairly well. This movie's not quite as effective as the first one, but still a really great movie in my book. And it's just about as on par. I'd give this one a 7 out of 10. Not quite the 8 that I gave the first one. Again, if I did 0.5s, I'd do 7.5 for this one because it is so close to the last one. I absolutely enjoy this movie quite a bit. Really great moments. I love the acting. Just love everything about it. Stephen King's cameo is absolutely great. So many great moments in this movie, honestly. I really do enjoy this movie. All right, next up, I want to continue making sure that this is working because I've had so many times where it doesn't work. It's still working, good. Lastly, guys, I watched this movie last night. I saw Pearl, and I had to rewatch X. So I rented it from Redbox and decided to watch X again. And again, from watching X, I love how many little details are in this movie that are in Pearl. For example, there's a moment where a character goes in the basement in this movie, and there's a wheelchair. Well, in Pearl, her dad has a wheelchair. I love, what else was there? There was a couple details. There's a car that you see in X. That car is in Pearl. There is so many different things, little, just teeny tiny things you see in the background that you notice in X that come back in Pearl. And I absolutely love that there's so many of these little connections that they had. This movie is very different than Pearl, though. It is a very gory movie. This is a throwback to slasher movies, and I absolutely love it. There are some truly horrific and terrifying moments in this movie, some very crazy, over-the-top, awesome deaths, and then also just some disturbing moments. The scene where the old lady gets into the bed with the gal and is just touching her, it's so disturbing. That scene drives me insane because I just can't imagine that. Oh boy. And I love that the premise of the movie is essentially two old people are horny, and because they see young people having sex, they want to kill them. It's so great. It's kind of like back in the day where they said if you have sex before marriage, you're going to get killed by the slasher. And I just love that. That's kind of what the theme is to this movie. I absolutely love that. And then Mia does such a great job, both as Maxine and as Pearl. The first time I watched this movie, I had no clue. I had no clue at all. I just thought that was an old lady with some extra old lady makeup to make her look older than she actually is. But no, that's freaking Mia, and she does such a great job in both roles. I absolutely love, and still baffled that is the same actress. Even last night when I knew it, I was like, there's no way that's her. But then they have the behind the scenes on the bonus feature of the DVD that shows it. And I'm like, well, yep, that is her putting on old lady makeup. It's insane. Absolutely insane. All characters in this movie are very unlikable. Would be one of my negatives for this movie. There's not really a character that I particularly like. You're supposed to really like Maxine, I guess, but she's really not that great of a person. She says things and does things that aren't always the nicest. So that's one of my negatives. I can't really relate. Oh, excuse me. I apologize. Ugh. I can't really relate to anyone in this movie. There's no hero in my book in this movie. Everyone can die by the end of this movie, and that's fine. But, minor, honestly, because it's a horror movie. You don't have to like people. But I also like that in a sense, too, because all movies give us some kind of hero. And at the end, someone does live and drives off into the sunset, but I don't necessarily like her. Oh, I kind of spoiled it to her. I don't necessarily like her. She's fine. She's okay, but she's not the greatest person in the world. But yeah, I love that. And I love the end I love the beginning where the cops are showing stuff, and then the end where it's showing stuff. And they're like, what do you think's on this camera? He goes, a goddamn messed up horror movie, or whatever he says. Absolutely love that. I think when I originally watched this movie, I gave this movie a 7 out of 10. I think I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. 8 or 9 out of 10. It's gone up for me. I really enjoyed this movie more the second time around. I think I like Pearl just a little bit more because the fact that it is a character study, and the fact I did like Pearl as a character before she started, murdering people. But I like that aspect a little bit more. I don't know. This is such a great franchise so far. I can't wait to see Maxine. I really can't. Such a good franchise. Either an 8 or a 9 for me for this movie. I absolutely love X. It's such a fun, slasher, enjoyable, creepy movie. Really do love this movie. So that's the end of all the movies I've seen this week, guys. Let's talk about some movies coming out by the time I do the next episode of this podcast. Hopefully next week. Let's see if that happens. We know how I am. One of the movies coming out is Smile. I have seen very little about this movie. I've seen a teaser for it and just was sold on that teaser because it's literally just someone walking past a room essentially, and there's a girl in there just smiling. Such a creepy, interesting image. This poster, I absolutely love this poster. I'm excited for this movie. I know nothing about this movie. I don't know who's directed it. I don't know who's in it, but I like the premise. Well, I don't even know the premise. I just liked that little teaser, and I like this poster. As far as excitement goes, it's like 8 or 9. I'm so excited for this movie, and I know nothing. It's great. Next up, guys, Don't Worry, Darling. I've seen at least one trailer for this movie and thought it looked weird. And I wasn't super excited for it. I like Olivia Wilde's first movie. What is it? Forget Booksmart. Booksmart. Absolutely enjoyed that movie. I think I'll watch that this week before watching this one. So yeah, I thought the trailer was a little weird. I enjoy Booksmart. And now I'm just, reviews that came out, they're not so good. There's all this drama going on. I'm liking this movie less and less and caring less and less about this movie. But I'm going to go see it. It's got Florence Pugh, it's got Chris Pine. I'm interested to see Harry Styles' role in this movie. It's interesting that he's now sleeping with the director, but you know. So I'm interested in seeing this movie. I don't know what to think of this movie though, really. I'm not super excited for it. It's like a 5 out of 10 for me. Yeah. So there's a movie coming out this week, guys. I think I'm going to go to the movies today, actually. I think I'm going to go see Barbarian, and I might even go see whatever that weird one is. Don't Think Twice or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. The one with Saoirse Ronan in it. I think Sam Rockwell's in it. I can't remember. I'm going to go probably see a couple movies today, guys, because it's not the nicest day out in the world. I already worked out. Actually, the sun's coming out now. But anyways, guys, I already worked out. I might go see that movie, a couple movies. Why not? You know, gotta do something today, right? And that's about it, guys. That's about all I have to offer you for the world today. Glad we could do 2 episodes this week. This will probably get posted. I'm recording this on Tuesday. Probably have it up on Wednesday. So I'll have it up sometime on Wednesday. Give a day to let the first video breathe from last night. Enjoy that review, that episode, and then enjoy this episode. As always, guys, please comment down below. Tell me what you'd like to see. Tell me what you'd like to talk about. I'm going to try to figure out how to put a poll up on YouTube, I think, if I have time today. And see what you guys want me to watch. Because I would love to talk about things you guys want me to watch and then have a conversation with you about it. That's why I want to do this. Have conversations with people. I don't have friends. I have Film Group, which is nice because I have conversations in there. Today we're watching 10 Things I Hate About You. So also expect a review of that. I've never seen that movie, so expect that soon. That's always, guys, yeah. If you like it, subscribe it to this. You know, it can only help with things. I can, you know, if I am getting more people watching this, then I am more willing to, you know, spend a little more money. Get an actual microphone. I need to get a microphone. That's what I really think I need to get next. Those aren't always the cheapest. I mean, they're not super scary, but for someone that is doing this for fun. Yeah. Anyways, guys, all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. I'm not good at ending things. But you guys have yourself a great week. We will hopefully see you in a week from now. We'll see how that works out. Anyways, guys, have yourself a good one. We will see you next time. See ya.